My name is Jim Jones. This is Mine and Diamonds. We in the building. If you want to learn about business, you want to learn about financial literacy, generational wealth. This is what we're here to project and promote. What more would you want to know about life?
Then how to get money.
Than how to get money.
And that's
How
really
to keep money.
How to keep money.
How to grow the money.
How to grow the money.
That's it. Not how to get the money. It's easy to get the money. It's harder to keep the money. That's what they say, right?
And it's also difficult to grow the money.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's even harder. I got $1 million. I think I spent it all in 1 month when I first got my first million.
Really?
Yeah.
In 1 month.
Something like that.
What'd you buy?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Do you have anything
From what?
from that first million?
No.
Nothing?
I mean, maybe some of the jewelry I may have brought, but like none of the cars and none of the surplus things that I was buying and spending money on. And I was like at $100,000 a month in bills and things like that. I was living way beyond my means at one point in life.
But it felt good.
Oh, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
It felt
Would you
good.
do it all over again?
No, never again. Not like that.
But I think when you get a lot of, because I went through that phase too. Like when you start getting big checks and you're like, I know I should cut. I know I need to give Uncle Sam this cut, but Miami's calling me.
It's a lot. There's a lot of different variables when it comes to you being responsible with money, and that's
Right.
what people don't know. When you don't have it the way you want it, you tend to learn how to budget and be responsible so that you can meet all the quotas. When you have it, a lot of it, all that seems to go out the window.
Yeah, true. You know, financial resposibility. It's taught. You know, it's learned.
It's learned, not taught.
But
Well,
there's
it's
this
learned.
phrase.
For us in our culture.
Yeah.
There's this phrase. It's like scared money don't make money, right? So,
Yes.
like, how do you how are you like budget conscious as opposed to just being scared with the money?
Nah, I think budgeting and being scared don't got nothing to do with scared money or make money. Like, you got a budget. You dig? Now, when it comes to investing and taking a risk with the money you have, that's where that whole saying comes in, scared money don't make money. That comes from the dice game.
Right.
You dig? When
Yep.
there's money in the bank and you penny pinching with these bets on the side, they stop the bank. Scared money don't make money.
That's me. The first time I went to Vegas, I was playing like the
Penny slots.
the slots, I was playing the slots. And my coworker, he came out, and I'm like, "How did you make $400 from the like? They have the machines from the elevator to the door."
Yeah.
And he was like, "I just made $400." I was like, "How?" And he was like, "You're playing the nickel machines, Nakia. You're not gonna make any money."
The odds differ.
Yeah. So
Unless you put like a lot of money in there.
exactly,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't play the slots. I don't
Well,
play.
I'm Beef Jones, and this is Nakia.
I'm Nakia Booth.
And we're here to drop some gems on you, and we have great guests. But I really wanted to kind of open this up because this past week, I was just walking around Harlem, and I found myself in front of Sylvia's, right? Mm-hmm. And I and thinking, I walk around Harlem, and be like, okay, getting inspired by businesses that were long gone or still here, And what I saw, it made me like kind of take a second to think about it. And then I went home and did research, and I was like, Sylvia, comes from a long line of Harlem entrepreneurs in the food service business. Like, remember Wells?
Yes.
Wells was the home of the chicken and waffles.
Yes.
And then you have Melba's, and then you have even Marcus Samuelson's Red Rooster. But even before that, you had so many different establishments where the food was something that people loved so much that the chef or the owner of the restaurant became a namesake, And looking at Sylvia, she become a beloved, icon in Harlem.
It's definitely a staple in Harlem.
It's a staple, but she's a brand globally. Now that her family runs it, you could find Sylvia's products in grocery stores nationwide. So it's
pretty dope.
It's sort of like, and I would say that maybe the theme or the feel or the whatever of this episode is namesake to enterprise. Being able to leverage your name, and then be able to turn it into a venture, a successful venture. And I think our guest, period. We don't have multiple guests. We have one guest. Our guest today, which Nakia will introduce. I think he speaks to that. that entrepreneurial spirit of like, yeah, I'm doing this, but he's always leveling up and growing, expanding. And you're watching it in real time. And I think our conversation with him today is going to be amazing.
So I'm really excited to talk to Chef J.J. Johnson. You know, we're going to dig into it because I want to know, obviously, his path to entrepreneurship, you know, how he became inspired to become an entrepreneur, but more importantly, how he was able to start the business, fund the business, and then scale the business. And then obviously any insights he has for all the entrepreneurs out here who are trying to build their businesses, especially in this world that we're living in today with so many changes. Like every single day there's something new coming out that not only affects, you know, the business owners, but the consumers, and how he's able to, you know, be nimble, pivot if necessary, you know, and what lessons he's learned over the past year or so that, you know, we can all glean from and, you know, hopefully use it to build our businesses. So I guess without further ado, we need to bring JJ up to the table.
Okay, that's what. Yeah, man, this is really great because, you know, like one thing I'm really interested in is always scale. Oh, wait, we're going live.
Okay.
We're going live.
We going live? Oh, shit, we live. What's up, people?
What up, what up?
Well, you can't just say what up.
Why
What up.
not?
You gotta let them know what you do. You gotta let them know what you
What's up,
do.
everybody? Chef JJ here. I'm in the building with Jim. Harlem, stand up.
And if you in Harlem, we're gonna take you on a field trip.
Ew.
The plug.
He's a professional.
Nah,
case
we
you
need
didn't
the
know.
gym. We need the gym love.
Explain to people what field trip is, what kind of restaurant it is, what's your specialty there. Break it down.
So, Field Trip is a rice bowl shop. Our slogan is "Rice is Culture," and it's an affordable eatery for the community. What I call for you, like good for you food. And when I was cooking at the Cecil, people would come up to me and be like, "Yo, Jay, I wish this was a little bit cheaper. I wish I could eat here a little bit more." And when I started looking at the landscape of Black and brown communities, I started to see that everything is either finger licking good, fried, McDonald's, you know, big brands, but nobody that looks like us has food that they can actually feel good about after they eat it.
Right.
So, you know, all the rice grains in Field Trip are freshly milled from a farm, come directly from the farm. So it's not like, is the brown rice the good rice? All rice is the good rice. And everything is ethically sourced so that when you leave or you eat the food, you can feel good about yourself. It might be able to help you with your nutrition points. But at the end of the day, it's a place that everybody should be able to come in and hang out, have a good time, or grab food and go. Think of us like a modern day Chipotle.
What is because I don't know what it is, so I know there's probably a lot of people out there. A rice bowl restaurant, is there something to that? Exactly what is that? Is it a theme to that? Is it like does it Japanese? Is it Jamaican? Is it black? Or is it all infused? Like you got to break it down.
Now you hitting it, right? So like you're literally on a field trip. There's something for everybody. The rice in the bowl is taking you on a field trip. So you might get Texas brown rice with brisket and spicy black beans, Carolina Gold fried rice. You might get sticky coconut rice with shrimp and green curry. You might get crab pockets. Everything is taking you on this adventure. You're on this field trip. So if you've been somewhere before, you're like, ooh, I like Southeast Asia. You got this sticky rice, or I want to be in the American South. I have this little crispy chicken and vegetable fried rice. So it's familiar, but there isn't really a category there isn't a rice bowl shop category. There are places that are bowl shops like Chipotle or Sweet Green or Cava, right? There's these bowl shops where people put us under, but there's nothing that is like us where you can say, this is the food. I'm using rice as the vessel to connect people.
Yeah, you got really strong dishes on there. And
So rice is the canvas.
Rice is the canvas of everything, yeah. And like you just said, Jamaica here, like you can go anywhere because rice is culture in all over the world.
Haiti, Jamaica, everywhere.
Yeah.
For the food you cook to the food that we're used to, right? So now, even me, Chrissy goes to all of the type of fancy restaurants, and she loves to eat different. I'm not with it. Like I'm still on cheeseburger mode and things that I'm just used to. Like you know what I mean?
Right.
But then you put a restaurant in a neighborhood that has a whole different palate from what that neighborhood is used to. How is that helping the people make a transition to learn about different foods.
I think the biggest thing was like people that were going to Popeyes around the corner, then came in and was like, "Oh, you got crispy chicken, and that's fried rice." So the community actually realized that I just needed to bring it back a layer. I was being too chefy, right? Like we used to talk about sustainability rice and all this crazy. I was like, nah, hold on, just call it vegetable fried rice.
And now they love it.
And now they love it.
Fried rice to the spot.
Right, exactly. Not knowing that the grains come fresh. And now, since we've been there, it's like, oh, so where do you get this rice? Because this ain't the rice that the Chinese spot got.
It's like the chicken wings and full rice right here.
What I realized was it's just layers to it where you have to sometimes just be as simple as you can, and then as people gain trust, then you can start layering on the rest of the stuff.
How'd you learn how to cook?
I learned how to cook in my grandma's kitchen.
Did you go to school for it?
Yeah. You know, I started in my grandma's kitchen. I told my parents at a young age that I was going to be a chef. My mom pulled me to the side and said, "Black people have been cooking their whole life. You're not cooking." And we had this big back and forth. And my dad would like pull me to the side and be like, "No, live life. Don't live like you coulda, shoulda, woulda." And then I finally convinced my mom. I went to culinary school in upstate New York called Culinary Institute of America, which is one of the best culinary schools in the world. I was the worst person in my class, right? I wanted to quit from time to time. And then I started to work at this restaurant called Tribeca Grill, which is like this in the prime. I'm sure, you know, most of us have eaten there.
Oh, yeah.
And I started to see what it was like, the feeling of food. I always had the passion for it, but I saw this feeling for it. And I was like, okay, we're doing 1,100 people today, 1,300 people today. We're cooking for Diddy. We got all these, the picture of the like everybody's coming through the doors. Like, how are they doing this? And then I took that and then barreled that up and then kind of went back, cooked, came back to New York City, worked at a restaurant called Jane on West House in Thompson LaGuardia.
Great place to party.
Yeah, those guys own the Smith
Yeah.
now. And I just been fortunate through my career to just keep chopping at the block. But what happened to me was I worked at Morgan Stanley Executive Dining Room. I wanted to leave the corporate structure to go back into the private world, and nobody would give me a job.
Why?
I have to say because I was black. And people would be like, nah, man, you could just be like this mid-level sous chef. I'm like, yo, I got more experience than most people you have in your kitchen.
Right.
And the Tao Group offered me a position, but I went on a cooking show on Bravo called Rocco's Dinner Party. I won my episode, and this gentleman named Alexander Smalls hit me up and was like, hey, I'm going to Ghana. Do you want to roll with me to Ghana? I didn't really know him. We started chopping it up, and then I went to Ghana, and then I found myself through food.
Was Alexander Small a chef?
Yeah, Alexander Smalls is a chef, entrepreneur, singer, the whole gambit.
Right.
And not knowing that his business partner was Dick Parsons, the ex-CEO of Time Warner and Citibank.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So when I came back, he goes, hey, we're about to open this restaurant called the Cecil. Do you want to be the chef of Cecil and Minton's? And my dad's from Harlem. He was like, hey, you
got to do it.
got to do that, man.
One thing I want to go back is that you said you found yourself in Ghana. And then is that where you came with the concept of the rice? It's like, tell me how did you find yourself in what context? And then where did you go from there?
Most people before I was going to Ghana would say, hey, when you go there, you're going to find yourself through the slave castles. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, you're really going to get this experience of something like you've never experienced before. I never got a chance to get to the slave castles because of traffic. But as I was in Ghana, I would be eating food and be like, yo, this is super familiar.
Right.
Why does this, I'd never been here before. My dad is African-American, my mom is Puerto Rican and Caribbean. So this house of the diaspora, I grew up with all these crazy flavors. So I started to, this clicking in my brain of food started to come back to me from childhood or familiarity. But when I left there, it was like the ancestors gave me these marching orders to cook food of the diaspora, to look through the West African lens. I wasn't looking at food through a very Eurocentric lens anymore, which I was taught in school. I was looking through it through this very West African lens. And when I started to travel the world more, cooking in Singapore and Israel and India, when rice comes to the table, everybody gets excited. Not here. We oh, that's just rice.
Yeah.
So wait, so you kind of went against the grain, right?
Yeah, I went against the grain, yeah.
Was that scary for you? What was that like?
I'm just not against the grain type of dude. and it just felt right for once.
Did you have support in that, or you were like, yo, I'm doing it, like I'm just gonna go at it on my own, or did you have people encouraging you, like, yeah, Jay, you could do this, or like, what was that process like for you to do it? Because a lot of people, you have the tried and true, this is the pathway, but you may have a different idea, and it's kind of scary to step outside the box and do something different.
Yeah, I think if I look back when I went to Ghana, right, it was like I could go to Ghana and cook, or I can go work at Tao Group. Mm-hmm. Right, most people say I'm gonna go work at Tao.
Right.
They got the money. I'm gonna get paid good. I was like, nah, I'm gonna go to Ghana. It feels right. My mom was like, chill. You going somewhere? Like, what you talking about?
Yeah, like I want to get into that because a lot of people, their parents make sacrifices, right, and they have this vision of what they want them to do. Because ultimately, they just want them to be successful. They want them to be able to provide for themselves. And the kids are always like, I want to follow my passion. I want to do something else.
I was going to say the dynamic between your mother and your father is
Exactly.
interesting.
Oh, very different, but don't get it. When my pops came in the crib, he was like, yeah, listen to your mom. Like, he didn't want to, but you ride in the car, he's like, no, I live life like I coulda, shoulda, woulda. I don't want you to live life that way. So he was always putting that into me as a young kid. And I still carry that sometimes when I look at stuff. But yeah, so that was the first big step I took, going to Ghana, then coming back, cooking at the Cecil. Like when you're in culinary world, you don't think about cooking in Harlem in a fine dining restaurant, even though we can list them all, right?
Right.
You think about cooking in Tribeca or West
Where
Village.
is the Cecil at?
The Cecil is on 118th in
St.
St. Nicholas. It's not the same Cecil that I cooked in. It's a different place now.
So I heard you say that your father was from Harlem. Did you grow up in Harlem?
No, I didn't grow up in Harlem. I grew up in the Poconos. My dad didn't want us to grow up in Harlem in the 80s.
Dope.
Nobody's parents
Your pops is dope.
Yeah.
Pops is definitely dope.
Why? That he took him out
Yeah.
of Harlem?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the object is to get out the hood. I mean, not to say it like that. I mean, we always find a comfortable place in Harlem because that's where we're from. But the objective was to make some money and get out of those confined environments and do better for your family. And I think that his pops kind of got that in the 80s so that he could give him a better platform to jump off of, like I try to do for my son. Now, the culture and everything that comes with being able to navigate through Harlem is priceless.
Right.
And do I wish my son had those lessons that I had? Yes. Do I wish he had to go through the risks that I had to learn those lessons? No.
Right.
You dig? And at this point in my life and in his life, he don't need to learn a lot of those lessons anyway. Because a lot of those lessons were survival. And what I was up against, he's not up against at all.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's why I was just asking him that, because what your father did for you is what I do for my son.
No, I got a lot of respect for that because I get it now as I have kids. But opening a restaurant in Harlem, because when I came to New York, I lived with my aunt in Lakeview. Mm-hmm. So Harlem became the
Crazy.
second.
My son's aunt is from Lakeview. He spent a lot of time in Lakeview too.
I'm sure we
Yeah, my godparents. I grew up in Lakeview too.
I'm sure we all know.
Manhunt up in the garage, but go ahead.
Yes, I live with my aunt in Lakeview, and then Harlem became a second home for me. Mm-hmm. I remember my uncle walking me around the streets of Harlem saying, like, all right, you don't walk on this block. Make sure you talk to these people, and like giving me the education of Harlem. And then next thing I know, I'm cooking in Harlem.
Right.
You know, next thing you know, I'm opening a business in Harlem because I believe without Harlem, I would never be who I am. I would never be Chef JJ because people in Harlem really come out to support me.
And that's the thing. There's the foot traffic in the community in Harlem were really kind of like the backbone of many, many businesses. You know, mom and pops and established businesses.
But the thing about Harlem is what I don't know if a lot of business owners know. If you take care of the community is going to take care of you more than you ever expected.
Well, I think you learned that lesson.
I mean, I
right?
learned that when Jim, like
You just,
during COVID, everything is falling apart. My wife's a nurse. She comes home one day. She's like, yo, did you cook anything? Did you bring home anything from field trip? I'm like, no, but it's 1:30 in the morning. She left at 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, you didn't eat? She's like, no, the pandemic is killing us. So I sent her and her team some food from field trip. And I go, yo, I wonder what Harlem Hospital's like. Like if she's at this beautiful downtown hospital and they not eating, what's going on at Harlem Hospital? So I take it to Twitter. I'm like, anybody know anybody at Harlem Hospital? And they connect me with this woman, Sylvia. She was like, oh my God, JJ, you if you can bring food for the ER team, we love it. So I bring 40 bowls, I hand deliver it, and I just go back to Twitter and say, I think I did one of the best things in my life. Like, I just fed some frontline workers. Next thing I know, people are calling the restaurant like, yo, I'll match you from all over the country. So we start feeding Upper Manhattan hospitals, the Bronx, and it turned into something bigger than I ever envisioned. When you talk about Harlem, right? And then after that, we started feeding people just across the street with farmers boxes because people were coming in saying like, yo, I'll work for food. And I was like, hold on. You don't need to work for no food. Like, you could take this bowl. Like, I got food here. Take this. Or calling my produce guy, like, here, drop these boxes off across the street. And it didn't matter if people didn't know where it came from, right? It's like, I just knew what people were going through. No. And now people come in and support us. And that actually led to an expansion because Tishman Speyer, one of the largest developers in New York City, called me and said, hey, we see the work you're doing. We have no restaurants in Rockefeller Center. We'll build it out for you.
Crazy.
That goes to scale. But that's a great,
they say, well, in the diplomat, the number one rule in the diplomat when we started, and still to this day, if you're around Cam or Jewels or Freaky Ezekiel, we do not deny anybody any food, even the food that I'm eating.
No, yeah.
You did? Because I'm going to be able to eat again. And that's always been the rule.
Well, I mean, that's pay it forward in a sense, period. And the amount of social equity you get back, I mean, like, that's unmeasurable, immeasurable.
It's priceless.
It's priceless. Like, you can't put a price on that. You know, what you've done for people is, like, show them that there's real humanity out here.
You're never going to want for that. Like, it's always going to be ground beneath your feet every step you take because of the things you do.
And in Harlem, the community is going to support you, just like we had on the Jim had on the FaceTime. You know what I'm saying? His guy Black, like, he's like, yeah, we had the crispy chicken. You know,
you was already lit. Now you extra lit. Like, oh, we're gonna. You did?
No, I appreciate that.
It's community.
Before COVID, were you doing marketing?
We was doing marketing. We were a new business. We were a business on a block where people were like, yo, hold on, what's going on here?
Right.
Somebody's building a restaurant on this block?
But let's explain to him what block you on. Because you are in my neighborhood that I grew up on. You're on 115th and 116th on Lenox Avenue.
Yes.
The project on 115th and Lenox Avenue is called Foster.
Correct.
Behind that project is called Taft. Behind that project is called Johnson. Behind that project is Jefferson.
Yes.
Long line of projects right around the corner from your restaurant. Your restaurant is directly across the street from one of the most notorious blood projects in the world.
Correct.
He's like,
But
yes, I know.
I just want people to paint the picture of
No, yeah.
what Harlem is, because I was telling somebody the other day, like, Harlem is still compiled to love no matter what goes on in it and around it. It's all about the love. So the fact that you put your restaurant in the midst of a lot of love is very commendable.
That was important to me. Like, when that landlord of that building, or that co-op that building, they called me and were like, you want to go here? I remember Aunt Jeannie being like, you sure you want to go here?
Because
like,
there's
sure you wanna
projects right there,
like,
right behind it,
yeah.
right behind that one.
I'm going to have to call a lot of people.
Nah, and it's funny you don't, because
No.
you're part of that community. They're gonna hold that restaurant down like it's theirs. Like, can't nothing go on in that restaurant. And that's why I love our communities in Harlem. There's a certain type of security that we hold.
And
on
you're
certain things.
100% correct. Like, we the community holds us down. They come in, they check up on us. It's a blessing.
They want to sweep up the front. They want to make sure you're good. You did. We'll help you open up, help you close shop. You did. We out here if you need anything.
Exactly.
So what was that like? Because it wasn't your traditional chicken spot.
Yeah, it
wasn't soul food.
In the beginning, it was a battle, right? Because it was like, well, you sure this is black owned?
Right.
Because we've seen this before.
Were they asking because it was a little bit more upscale? Was it the food offerings?
It was it was just a little bit nicer than what you've seen. And for me, it was still bare bone.
Right.
And I'm like, I remember like arguing with people on the street, like, you take, I own the space. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like, come in. Nah, we seen this. I'm like, why? Because it's nice. Like, you got nice sneakers on. You got diamonds on your neck. You should want nice shit too.
Right.
And a lot of those guys will laugh about it today, or like when they first came in the restaurant, ate the black rice. I remember homie spitting out in the street because he was like, "What is this?"
Wow.
Now he comes in and orders a salmon with the pineapple black fry every day because he wasn't expecting that. He was like, I never had it before, right? So there was these moments of struggle. There was these moments of the grit.
I want to go back. So you you were at Cecil Minton's, right?
Right.
How did you go from Cecil and Minton? Like, what was the inspiration that said, or the light bulb or the epiphany moment when you're like, I want my own restaurant?
Mm-hmm.
Like, walk us through that.
Yeah, I worked really fucking hard at Cecil. Like, we won Best New Restaurant. I was nominated for the James Beard Award. Everybody was coming to the
Well,
door.
what's that?
It's called a James Beard Award, which is kind of like the Oscars, Grammys
Of
of the
chefs.
food world. Yeah.
You got to say that, the James Beard Award, the Grammys for chefs. I just learned
Grammys for
something new.
chefs, Yeah.
Let them know.
I should get that for cooking up. You heard? James Beard Award. That's bars. You see how that, how that go?
We got to get you that.
That's it. Put that in the bank.
And during the process, I said, okay, hold on. And during the process, I said, okay, hold on. I'm working really hard for somebody else. I think it's time for me to take a step back and try to really figure this out. And I've always had an entrepreneur spirit. I've always done stuff that just never worked. And I remember going to Dick Parsons and saying, hey, this is starting to fall apart here. And I'm going to start something. So I just want to show you my investor deck. You think you'll invest $100,000? He was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, this is a guy that could have bankrolled the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
For the audience, Dick Parsons is a great black executive that has been the head of many multinational companies and has been an inspiration. When I was a kid, I would like have a list of like Ken Chenault,
Yep.
you know, the former CEO of American Express, Dick Parsons.
Time Warner City.
He did the Time Warner AOL deal.
Yes,
right?
he
Oh,
did.
yeah. Remember, he took
whole
over.
deal.
He took over the Clippers when right, you know.
And these were like kind of the guys I was like, I could probably be one of these guys someday, you know?
So he's
But
a
yeah,
big deal.
Big deal.
Yeah, and he didn't realize when I was cooking there, when I was in those meetings, like sitting there, it was like grad school. It was like business grad school with him. He'd be dropping terminology. I'm like, what's this? What are you talking about? The investor group was an amazing investor. It was all his friends. So I would just be sitting there. Yeah, I was there to talk about food costs and what the food was like and what awards we won. But he didn't know that I was sitting there like taking notes.
Spook who sits
As you're
by the
supposed to.
door.
Right. So I went to him. He said, "Oh yeah, I'll give you $100,000." I should have probably went to him and said, "Would you give me $1 million?"
Right.
100%.
He
So
probably
let me
thought
ask-
that in his head.
Hold on. Let me ask.
100%.
because
That's how people like that work.
most people say businesses tend to fail, right, because they're not properly funded.
Correct.
So why did you go in at? Was $100K just what you wanted from him, or was that the total?
No, well, I was only raising $500,000, which shame on me. You just said was never enough money. And especially in the food world, you raise for like 3 months to stay open. I've been telling people in the food world, you need to raise like your tech company at least a year, right? Tech company, what, 3-5 years? Right,
Yeah,
Jim?
3 to 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
2 to 5 years.
2 to 5. So you should raise at least a year, so because the business is going to shift. You don't know your customer, and so he said he was going to give me $100,000. He never invested because we got a bigger investor that wound up. I was doing a residency at Chef's Club, which was on Mulberry Street, in my intern just to make some money, and the residency took off crazy, and I was like, okay, I got my own $100,000 now. So I don't, right?
I'm a fund use
I'm
my
a-
own
Yeah, you
money.
don't have to give up equity or anything like that. You know, keep as much equity.
Keep as much as I could,
Yep.
but it was a different conversation now. It was like, oh, hey, I'm putting in my own $100,000, and do you want to put in $250,000 or $400,000? But instead, it's crazy, right? A young Rothschild is eating at this dinner and goes, JJ, I've been a fan. My family loves you. I didn't know who he was at the time. and says, "Yo, I want to invest."
We can end this whole interview right now. Say, Young Rothschild. That's it. The interview is over. What the fuck is you talk about? A young Rothschild was eating at the meat.
I mean, he spoke to your food because he had a history with you. He's like, I'm a fan. My family loves you.
Fire.
So he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna invest in a couple things. My family invested in some stuff in Harlem. I feel like I need to follow that." Still this day, I don't know what they invested in Harlem.
The whole Harlem. The whole Harlem is theirs. You don't even know you're buying everything from them right now, right? Like
The whole thing. So he wrote a good enough he wrote a good enough check, and then I had a couple other friends and family investors, and that's how I funded it. But it was short. Mm-hmm. So through the process,
at the time, did you know it was short? Like, when you got that money, were you like,
I'm good.
I made it.
I know
right?
you geeked.
I was
You're
geek. I was like, yo, I just
on.
raised money. Like, it's like to my pops, like, yo, I did it, bro.
Was that all right? So I want to ask you something because I know I've been in a lot of situations like that. Was you the reason you asked for that 100,000 because you were scared you didn't want to rock the boat up for asking for too much money?
Yeah, I was scared that I was scared that I was gonna rock the boat, but I was also being told from people, listening to people on the outside, yo, you can't raise 1.2 million in Harlem for a fast casual restaurant. There's nothing else.
Crazy.
There's nothing else out there like this.
What people were telling you that?
Friends
the
that had
closest
restaurants
people.
down, the closest people. Yeah.
Now, like, I asked a friend of mine's similar, retardedly rich. Like I don't even want to. We won't talk about who they are, but they're probably one of the richest families in the world. So I'm asking them a question because he loves my music, like one of the biggest fans of my music. So, and I'm like, yo, you want to get in business with me to do a record? So I said something like, it costs maybe $500,000 to do a record. He was like, he turned around and told me, when you're dealing with people like myself, you need to get a real plan, because we don't really want to talk to people if they're not willing to ask for 15 million to 20 million to 25 million, because then I know that you have a real plan that's really going to make us some money. I can't do nothing at that with that money you just asked for. So when you just said that, I was like, I promised myself I will never make that same mistake again. I'd rather a person flat out tell me, no, I can't do that, than for me to sell myself short in them situations.
No, and that's how I move now. Like when you talk about expansion and stuff, you're like, okay, I know I can expand Field Trip. The brand is worth this amount. We're gonna ask for this amount of money.
Wait, so go back.
What it is, like.
So go back. So you got your 500 or whatever it was,
my
right?
500,
You got your 500K. You lit. You like it's about to be born. It's funny now,
You
right?
gotta put first month, last month deposit down. You forgot about that, right?
Right.
You gotta put not to say like our rent is pretty good, right? Oh, hold on, the gas line needs to be updated. I thought y'all said the gas line was good.
Right.
So you gotta get that updated. You know, the floor plans don't match up to to what they got at the architect that record.
I could bet.
Oh man, you know, like there was just like one after another. But I'm a hopeful guy, so I kept keeping my hope alive. And also the brand JJ, I was doing events, traveling, making money for appearances. So I was just constantly funneling the money back in. And let's not get it twisted. My wife was pregnant at that, or she was my fiance at that time, pregnant with twins.
Lord.
So like, and then I still don't know
Pressure
how
was on, right?
she never pressured me. It was the craziest thing. Like Mia was never like, yo, you better go get a job. I think she just knew deep down inside, like, okay, he's gonna figure this out, right? Like he's not gonna fall short on this. Like, and I'm thankful for that, right?
Because that pressure could be a motherfucker.
But let me ask
We talk about
so you said
You
were
already
in,
got pressure on yourself in there. Oh, man.
you were in investment groups. You have a whole peer community of restaurateurs, right? Were people advising you and giving you things to look out for, like pitfalls, or, you know, as you start this, pay attention to this, that, and the third? Like, what was your mentorship like?
I think
business.
the Cecil was my mentorship, just watching it go up and down, like seeing that. I have a couple good friends that own, like my buddy Kamal Grant owns like 4 donut shops in Atlanta. My buddy Chris Coombs owns like 6 restaurants in Boston. These guys were like, yo, I got you. Like, hold on, what are you saying?
Right.
Like, no, you can't do that.
Right.
So at least I had those close friends.
you had support.
That
I had real support, like real homies.
Real businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of complement the same business.
And also
Exactly.
you had a wife who was a partner that saw your vision.
Yeah, yeah.
And that always plays a factor in entrepreneurism. Like on the plane, I watched this film called Minari. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
It's about a Korean family that moves to Arkansas to start a farm to grow Korean vegetables for Korean immigrants that are coming to America in droves. And he started this farm. It's a father with 2 kids and a wife and a grandmother who has diabetes and sick. And the whole time he's trying to get this farm up, but his wife wants to leave him. His kid has a heart problem. His grandmother, his mother, like had diabetes and she was debilitated. And then at the apex of the film, the farm burnt down. Like right before he got that one plug that was like, I'll buy everything. After all that. And she wasn't supporting. It was like the tale of like entrepreneurial support or the lack thereof. And
why it's so important.
Yeah, that's like a founder's movie.
But sometimes people aren't going to support. Like your closest people might not support you because sometimes your idea is just like.
Oh yeah, my ideas are crazy. Like crazy.
Like
So-
I go back and look at this video of like Bezos talking about he's selling stuff out of his garage and give me money, and I mean most of us would be like, you're bugging, man. Like what do you? Like look at it.
I'm
like,
selling books online.
Nobody can't see your vision.
No, you got it. And then when you get the one person,
You
right?
heard?
All
You
right,
did?
so now we'll go back. So now you got all these issues, right? Fixing this, and now the money is going faster than you probably
Yeah.
anticipated.
And then the restaurant's built. Con Ed shows up to turn the gas on. They go, oh, yo, your equipment is too much gas load is here.
Oh my God.
Like, yo, what do you mean too much? Like
Never heard that before.
what do you mean? He's like, yeah, if you use the wok and the stovetop, you're gonna take all the gas from the whole building, so we can't turn it on.
Oh shit.
So I'm like, okay, what I'm gonna do? I call the equipment company. Equipment company's like, no problem, JJ. We'll swap out the wok. We normally wouldn't do this, but we'll send you a lower grade. You reach into your toolbox and you say, yo, who could get Con Ed back here for you? Because now it's, Con Ed don't just show up.
No.
So I reach in the toolbox, call in a favor. They call somebody. I get an email says, oh, we'll be out in a couple days, which turned out to be 2 weeks. And then I go to the building and says, hey, guys, I know we're supposed to open up 6 months ago. I can't pay you any more rent right now.
Wow.
Right? Because that free rent, all that's over.
Right.
And somehow, some way, we got the doors open. There was still a little bit of money in the bank. And then, as it was rolling, I don't want to go back to investors and be like, hey, guys, give me more money. It was like, okay, I could throw 10 or 5 or something here to keep it
rolling. Yeah.
building.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to them when it's time to scale,
Yeah.
and some investors like, I don't know how you did it.
I mean, you really went out there and proved your MVP, and your most valuable product, and you bootstrapped as much as you can after getting, financing and investment, and then you did what a lot of entrepreneurs do. They brave those risks. Like that's a risk for you.
Major risk.
Fiance at home, pregnant with twins. Major bills come on, like major expense just opening a restaurant in Harlem where your people close to you said that this is probably the most riskiest thing you could do with investor cash. Like I'm feeling for you at that moment. Like I could just envision you freaking out over the wok. Like, what do you mean? Like Con Ed saying that you're gonna take all the gas from the building?
Yeah, and then you go back to the building like, yo, you gave me these specs. Like, you delayed the project now. No, I didn't delay the project. They're like, but nah, yo, that's what we have on record. It's like, well, that doesn't work.
So you had all of these issues, right? You was facing all these issues, but you got your restaurant open. Give me some cheat codes, yo. Give me some cheat codes.
Cheat codes.
Yes.
I don't know if there is a cheat code except get the doors open.
By any means necessary.
Any means necessary. You got to figure it out. If the gas wasn't coming on, then we're going to go figure out how to cook electric, right? You got to just be constantly thinking. And you always have to think something's going to go wrong or always looking for what's going to go wrong. That's something I'm constantly doing. Like I'm walking in a restaurant, I'm looking if something is wrong. I'm not thinking anything is right. Because if you do think everything's right, then you're just going through like, okay, we good. And hopefully one day, yeah, I can walk through. But it's always I'm going to catch something that's wrong. But is there a cheat code? I think the only cheat code I can tell you is raise enough money, more than you think you need, without giving up too much equity. Like if you think you go into a 60-40 split, you need to go to 80-20 split, right? If you think you're doing an 80-20 split, you need to go to 90-10 split, right? Because as you scale, that equity gets squeezed.
Right.
Diluted.
It's super diluted, and you're getting in a game where you might not have that money to that 100,000 isn't a lot.
Right.
You know, yeah, you might be able to exercise your preemptive rights, which means you're going to stay whole from where you were before based off the new valuation. But, you know, when you scaling, you going after I'm going after big money.
Let's talk about scale, man, because you started a hospitality group, right? And
Wait. You have to explain what a hospitality group is.
Well, let's let this man explain what a hospitality group is.
Yeah, hospitality group is just a collective. You know, it could be yourself or a bunch of people that are going to start to manage more than one entity, more than one restaurant, coming up with collective of ideas to start getting it on the market space. It could be in the licensee business. It could be managing. It can be fundraising to do more restaurants or product lines. When I came out the gate, we came out with a hospitality business. And actually, I've shifted. The hospitality group now consists of a different entities called like Cooking with JJ. It's Cooking with JJ is like the parent is the larger company, and then everything kind of flows underneath. I kind of keep Field Trip by itself now just because I'm in a fundraising phase, and I don't want to get people confused about what I could do.
Right.
And what Field Trip, like Field Trip's his own star, and I'm a part of that 100%. But the new things don't include
Your Field Trip.
Field Trip folks.
Right.
And I think a lot of people get lost in that, right? They're like, oh, yeah, no problem. We're going to just keep putting it all together. And then you giving people money that shouldn't deserve the money.
Right. Right. And because when I saw that, I was like, wow, it's like, boom. It's like the 9 group. It's like you hear about like the Tao group. They open up casinos, clubs, all these different ventures under this one banner. When I saw that, I was like excited because I was like, and then I also saw that you had 2 other Field Trip restaurants. Like you said, you know, you met a mysterious Rothschild who said, we love you, been watching you. And that's one thing you need to know is that you never know who is watching, ever. You never know. All right. So you got that. And I'm like, wow. So Field Trip, you know, you're already starting to expand. I was like, I feel like this is global, national, business.
I mean, I think the goal.
I'm sorry to put the pressure on you, but
it's
like I can see it. You're like, okay, you had the wherewithal and to be sort of a genius move and strategize and be like, look, I'm not just gonna open a restaurant and have a bunch of shit on the menu. I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna make it rice based. I make it culture based. It's like you really put on your marketing cap.
And I'm gonna open it in Harlem.
I'm open in Harlem where the foot traffic and the love is great. You know, that's a story. It's also a personal connection to your heart, your father, you know, and the spirit of entrepreneurism is so great in Harlem. I mean, we look at statistics right here, 22% of businesses, we have 22% in the market in New York City. About 2% of that is in, businesses, black businesses. And you could say probably like 1.4 is in Harlem, you know? So the spirit of entrepreneur spirit is so heavy in Harlem. So you put that all together, and so I'm looking, I'm like, this guy's a master strategist, even if he doesn't know it.
Yeah, he definitely talks way deeper than the chef would.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you about that, right? Because you have a lot of people who throw down at home, right? You always got the aunt that bring this dish or whatever they cook. They could cook their ass off. You already know this person, right? How are you able to speak beyond just cooking and really get into the business, right? Because we all know the restaurant is not just about good food.
No, I mean, I got to go back to Dick Parsons. I sat in his grad school for 4 years taking notes.
So what about these people that don't have the opportunity to sit next to Dick Parsons or, interview Chef JJ?
I think
what can they do?
mentorship. Listen, I'm always looking for a mentor in the space, right?
Even now you're still looking for mentors?
Yeah, 100%. Like I email Steve L's founder, CEO of Chipotle, like once a week, see if he hit me back.
Mm.
Right, because when you talk about scalability
Right.
in the space, I think Field Trip is like 1992 Chipotle when they were like making this rumble in the space, the food space, when nobody was seeing good for you food. So it's like, okay, so who can I talk to? And I talk to a lot of people in the space. Like I'm friends with the Sweet Green guys. I'm friends with, I know the Kava CEO. I would say the biggest person that gives me great advice right now is actually my attorney. He doesn't charge me for it because Jim looked at me like, yeah, charge you for that? Who does a lot of chef startups, and he has really helped me through on the business side of like making sure I understand this. Like, we're not signing this. Read it, highlight it.
What was some of the like key things that he told you that really helped you?
Well, one thing was like intellectual property.
What
Like
do
the
you mean?
name of, like, when you start anything, don't put the intellectual property within the business. Like, you own the intellectual property, you started that. That's worth a lot of money. So you could raise money on the intellectual property, and you could raise money on actually the brick and mortar business.
Break that down.
That's game right there.
So like I just use my business, Field Trip. For Field Trip, if I was to do licensee deals, I wouldn't have to include the founding or investor pool. The investor pools would just make money off of brick and mortars because that's all they're investing in. And I can take Field Trip and put it in airports, put it on roadways, put it internationally, where you license out the name and somebody else runs it. Not like a franchisee model, just where you license out, very similar. And then I could get all that revenue from there.
Yourself, and you ain't got to pay it to these people.
I don't got to pay to these people. And then when you want to merge this together,
It creates more value.
it creates way more value. Where most people start a business and they're like, yeah, we got the holding company
Right.
and intellectual property is in there, and all you do is add valuation on that on that entity. So then as it grows, everybody's benefiting off of everything. Not to say that that's not what I did. I looked at it in a bigger, like, I'm not a greedy guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I put everything in there, and I'm like, well, if you started with me and you
Right.
gave me money, I'm gonna put you.
I'm gonna
in,
put you in with
right. But going through a raise, you start to look at a lot of different things. So yeah, I educated myself on the business side because I just seen a lot of chefs that didn't even own their name. They had to buy back their names. And restaurants we know, like Scarpetta, Scott Conan, Marcus Samuelson had to buy his name back. Right? Like a restaurant group owns his name. Like, I'm like, that's not happening to me.
Right.
Right? So I have to make sure I pay attention to the past so that I don't make the same mistakes in the present. So, but yeah, when I prefer to throw down and cook some oxtails or something instead of
Let me know. How do
pushing the
you
numbers.
So you can cook.
right?
Yeah.
How do you make those decisions? Like, I'm gonna be honest. The first time I went to your restaurant, right? We got the rice bowls. Me and my husband, we went. I was like, this is really tasty. But I was like, for what I don't remember the exact price point it was. But I was like, really, for rice? Like, I could make this at home, right?
Right.
But then I could not make this at home. I've tried all the time. He'll be like, it's good, it's all right, but it's not. And you, like, for some reason, I feel like when you're uptown, like, everybody wants to deal, everybody wants to hook up, everybody wants to cheap, right? And you feel like you only want to pay a lot of money if you're downtown, if you're in a fancy restaurant. But the other day, I went to McDonald's with my daughter, and I was just like, wait, how much did I just spend in here?
I think
Nah,
McDonald's.
McDonald's is like roof Chris prices right now.
It's really, like, a little crazy.
But that's just minimum wages going up. Food
Supply
costs,
chain
supply
is-
chain is all messed up.
So
right now.
how do you deal? Like, we just went yesterday. We went to Beef got a haircut at Russ's Barbershop. He's somebody that we interviewed on this show, right? So we went. We're like, we're going to support the business.
Inflation is up.
And, he said they were noting how his prices were so low. And he was like, yeah, I don't really raise my price too much. And so he was like, because I'm more concerned about the community, right? He was like, I'm thinking about my community right here. I got a single mom. She got 4 kids. There's no way she's paying $60 for all of these haircuts.
Yeah, but then you got to think of what I'm saying is cool. I respect that, but everybody's wages went up.
I know. Well,
Everyone's wages went up. If you have a job,
Right.
it has to be where is it at, like $18 or some dumb shit like that?
15 minimum wage right now.
You see signs all over
How
like
much was minimum wage in '94?
I know when we were coming up, it was
what's
like
like
$7. It was like
$5.15.
$4.50, something like that. Y'all
$5.15.
bugging. Like, it was like $4.50, like for real. Like,
So how much do you consider, right, like the community, right, the people who are living in your community and pricing your food, dealing with the increased costs that you have to incur? Like, how do you
Yeah, I mean, that's
figure
why
all that
oxtails
out?
ain't on the menu. 'Cause
Right.
They cost so much money right now. I'd rather have oxtails and brisket on the menu.
Niggas gonna buy oxtails in the hood.
That's what I was like.
That's one thing on the menu that's gonna sell out
like
every day.
$30.
It's not a Jamaican restaurant in Harlem and the oxtails don't sell out before the day is out. Them oxtails gonna go, boy.
But you're right. I bought an oxtail at $22.50.
It's ridiculous. So wait, so you switch up your menu based on
Yeah,
your cost?
I'm looking. Yeah, cost is a big factor. But also look at cost and quality. Right. So like, am I gonna get the salmon that's super cheap, or am I gonna get the salmon that I know tastes good? Yeah, I might not. I'm not gonna charge what it's supposed to charge. We'll take the hit on our side, and you do kind of like this equation where you balance out the menu to get it to the cost of food you want it to be at. So chicken is cheap. Okay, I can charge this for chicken to make up for the cost on salmon so I can keep up with the quality.
I see.
But there's certain things you can't do. We spend the money on the rice, right? We're getting super high quality rice coming directly from the farm. That's never going to
Right.
change. I tell people this,
the rice in my vegetable bowl was hitting.
That's good,
Was
yeah.
that the jollof rice?
the jollof with
Yeah,
the basmati. Yeah,
that was
Jollof.
Yeah,
Yo,
that
you got music in your restaurant?
yeah, we got music playing. We got music playing in the
Is
restaurant.
it loud?
It's
It goes
loud.
up?
It goes up, yeah.
So if I wanted to do a media event in there and like kind of
Yeah, you could do it. I don't know. You might be. It's not that big, but
a media event, not
Okay,
a
media
event. He said not a concert.
A media event, meaning people from the press will come, sit them down, let them eat the incredible food. I'll play one of my new albums. They'll be doing these write-ups and asking me questions and enjoy this.
100%. We got you.
Boom.
See? And then the media is going to got you because they're all going to write about the incredible food and all of the
Yeah.
write-ups that they have.
We got you on that. Yeah, we can do that.
Have you done any other like interesting things to offset costs or things that help you stay afloat? Like
Yeah, like the paper,
non-traditional?
paper bag. Like, okay, we're gonna use the bag with the hand. There's a big debate right now. Are we gonna use the bag with the handles? Or are we gonna use the bag that doesn't have the handles? The bag with the handles is 18 cents a bag. The bag without the handles is 3 cents. Well, and then my director of operations like, well, people are gonna care. I'm like, well, I think they'll be okay. I'm watching a lot of bags flowing with no handles on it.
People don't care about them bags. They care about what's in the
Especially-
bag.
The bag, yeah.
Especially
Only
if
time
it's
I care about the bags in the supermarket. They keep trying to ask me if I want paper or plastic.
'Cause
You
it
know what we
costs.
want. We want plastic, man. Stop playing with me, man.
yeah, try to take a whole full bag of groceries home and that bottom fall out. Like
You piss.
it's like why the it'd be like fuck the
Got
planet.
the milk in it, all
Fuck the planet, okay?
So what type of things, like what type of trends are you seeing right now in the food business or in the restaurant business? Not necessarily just like with food, but like technology and things that are popping up that's supporting businesses.
I think technology before the pandemic, restaurants weren't even looking at technology.
Right.
Pandemic hit. I'll use an example. We used to have on the window, scan the menu, digital barcode, scan the menu. So you walk by,
Right.
people were like, I'm not scanning the menu. I want paper menu.
Right.
Now scan the menu. Everybody's like, yep, thanks. And the pictures pop up. It looks nice, right? So like something, but you're seeing it authentically added into restaurants.
Was that a learning curve for you?
No, I mean, I've a couple of things that I wanted to do early on, and we just didn't have the money. We still don't have the money for it. I'm starting to see pop like text to order. Like I saw Taco Bell just buy this company out of Israel for texting to order. I'm like, that's the future. Nobody wants to go to POS screen. Nobody wants to wait in line.
Right.
Text your order through, it comes through. So there are some technology things I think we'll even implement, but technology is big. Plant-based food, like that. And then when I say plant-based, I mean like people growing.
Right. Not processed.
Not processed, but people just growing things that's not chicken,
Right.
salmon that's not salmon.
You gonna accept cryptocurrency?
We be thinking about it. Thinking about it. I just got to figure out. I got to learn more about it.
Crypto is the move. Like, Well, I'm invested in crypto heavy,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of stores that's starting to take crypto as a form of payment because on the other side of that payment is you can receive it in crypto or you can receive it in cash. So that's what you need to know. Just because somebody's paying you in crypto don't mean that you're getting paid in crypto.
Got you.
When they pay you with their crypto on your side of the register, you can press cash or you can press crypto. When you press crypto, you put it to whatever crypto wallet you have and wherever you want it to go and shit like that. Or you could just take the cash and run it like a regular business. But by you accepting that form of payment might help you out even a little bit more with getting paid off the crypto when it's quick. They got these little kiosks that you could buy and do it in a restaurant. Looks like a cell phone, leverage cell phone and things like that. Same thing they've been doing like with all the dispensaries now. Like spend like hell trying to get people to pay for smoking dispensaries, and now they're able to actually accept crypto as a form of payment and does the same thing. So a lot of businesses are going into that wave. But crypto in its whole is where everything is going. I think the dollar will be no more in years to come, and everything will be going
You think
digital.
everything's going to be digital?
Oh, 100%. That's natural progression.
100%.
Like from beepers to iPhones, there's no way around it. Why would we need money anymore? Why would we need paper?
You think everybody will still have its own currency, or will there be one universal currency?
Oh, as far as in the countries?
Yeah.
Nah, it's definitely going to be still a bunch of different currencies.
We still got a little time
yeah.
before that. There's still like,
United
mass
States ain't
adoption.
doing none of that.
No.
Unless we're not gonna think about that. I'll be long gone by the time that happens, if that happens, and things like that. But as far as crypto now, a lot of more people will be able to have their own currency. People of influence and businesses of influence will be able to now create their own coin and be able to use that coin for different businesses and shit like that. So that's what I'm into. That's why I created the Capo coin, to create my own ecosystem by using the community to make the social currency money a real thing, and that's what we've been doing.
You're an innovator, I think you should give it some further thought.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit up Jim on the side. Give me some. I was gonna get some mining stuff and put it in the bottom of a field trip one time.
But then your electricity costs.
That's what I just told. That's way heavy. But things you can do, because you got field trip, you can turn field trip into an NFT or make an NFT out of field trip, and that would probably be an elaborate thing for somebody to come in the whole restaurant with their family, but that value of that NFT, you can set up a smart contract where now once a month there's actually a dining section for whoever brought that NFT, and that NFT will start to accumulate dollars because that person might sell it to this person, that person might sell it to that person. All the time you get paid for each transaction, and when they come in you gain more business and make more notoriety. But the NFT space with your business probably could work in a lot of different ways and shit like that in your field.
It really will open your mind. Like I'm too invested.
I gotta get with y'all.
Yeah.
Me
I
too.
gotta get my notebook out.
We could
again,
go
because you read, you see it, you see the NFT, you see crypto so much. I'm a little bit invested in the crypto space. Don't know much about it. Trying to educate myself on it. NFT space, I'm confused. I'm not gonna lie.
NFT is a non-fungible token, really meaning a digital memorabilia, like a digital baseball card. Of course, it scales up in so many different variables, but that's pretty much what it is, a digital baseball card that acquires some money. So the people of influence is usually the people that really makes money off of these NFTs. Like a regular person has to have something that has extreme value for somebody like us to really want to buy an NFT from a regular person. You know what I mean? That's why you have Jay-Z with the punk NFTs and all that shit, because these people with this power and these names behind it drive the price up.
Yeah, it drives the value up.
Automatic.
But like you're Chef JJ, so you have in value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're one of the biggest rappers in the chef game right now.
Right?
I know.
I mean that by the influence.
You're like little baby of the chef stuff.
It's the same.
It's the same thing.
No. I'm listening.
Yeah. Wow.
My brain is turning now. Like, okay.
And you
Like,
could be a
oh.
step ahead of the game of the game inside of your world.
So you're saying I could do
start-
like an NFT cookbook?
Oh
you could
yeah.
do an NFT cookbook. You could do an NFT experience with JJ. There's so many things you could do with NFT.
And it's
NFT
like a
cookbook,
tradable, like-
an
It's a
NFT cookbook actually will be crazy, because you could do an NFT cookbook and actually have you showing people how to do cooking lessons in that digital NFT cookbook. So now it bring you to life within that cookbook. Like it's a lot of things you could do.
There's a lot of stuff. Off camera, I'm pretty sure we can have a great discussion. I'm
I'm in. I'm in.
We got to catch her up too, because
I know. I keep trying, and
I send her emails every day, text messages of like links and stuff. She's like, "This is too much."
You should tell
It's
me.
a lot.
It's
a lot. That's why I'm glad I understand it, because I could push it off on to somebody else because I understand it. So now I need this done. I need this done. What's the new? All right, cool. Because it'll just bombard you so much. You be like, all right, fuck this whole shit, man. I don't want. It's a lot, but it's simple. If you good with numbers, which you must be because you own the business, you're gonna get it off top.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to switch real quick. Talk to me about black investors.
Oof.
I'm just saying, I feel like we constantly hear about the consumer spend, black people, right? We have so many rich black people, entertainers, blah, blah, blah.
$2 trillion in
stuff,
buying
right?
power.
Right.
Why you put me on a spot?
Nah, because
somebody hit you up. Did you see something posted?
No.
It's a big beef I have actually.
No, you know why? I'm going to tell you
No, I
this.
didn't know
Because
that.
I know I've heard of a lot of restaurants, particularly in Harlem, right, that go under, they're not doing well for whatever reason, and then they have like white investors, right? Cool, fine. I'm not like mad. You got a Rothschild. Like, I'm not mad.
No. It's actually, I put it like this. Like, I got hit up from Travis Scott.
Dope.
Like 6, 7, like 8, 9 months ago. Like right before the pandemic. Longer than that. His team, through my attorney. And he was like, they were going to invest in a fast casual restaurant that doesn't need the money. Right? Big. They got over 250 locations. He's going to put a good amount of money into them. He said, no, don't invest in them. Invest in this guy. And this is before this is way before. Invest in this guy. His team was like, well, we'll give $10 million. I said, okay, I got to get going on this. I don't have a fund manager. I don't have any of this stuff. But what do you want? And I don't think, and sometimes I wish if Travis was involved, he would have said, hold on, maybe I'm not gonna put 10 here, maybe I put 2, but reserve $2 million because I like this story. I see what this guy's doing, and you're trying to put my money somewhere really quick, but hold off. And he wasn't involved because everybody has their teams built around them, and I see that a lot when it comes to Drake, LeBron.
What did they want? What did they want?
Yeah.
What did they want?
They didn't know what they wanted. They just knew that his guy just knew this. He was friends with the founders of this big new chain, and he wanted his money to go there, and they just took the call just because.
Got it.
They were never going to write the check. His team was never going to write the check to us. I think if Travis was like, yo, hold on, let me go eat the food. Right. Oh, this what y'all doing? Right. Look around. Oh, this is the impact.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I'm in.
Right.
Right, and I think a lot of that, I saw Drake investing in hot fried chicken spot.
Oh, yeah, Dave's Hot Chicken.
I'm like, bro, hot fried chicken, that was done by a black woman. Do you even know that? I know Dave's is good, but Prince's would take your money. Like, you know what you could do if you built a team around Prince's hot fried chicken?
Prince's hot fried chicken?
Yeah. You had it?
No, but
in Nashville?
Maybe we need to.
Yeah. Like.
Maybe we need to find out if they do need an investor.
I think some of these mom and pop spots don't have the infrastructure, and when a big investor that could write the check is like, hold on, let me write the check for you, but let me build the team around you to make sure you can scale, is really an important part. But yeah, that's why I commend Chris Paul. He's investing in black spaces, Slutty Vegan. He just wrote a check to.
Love Slutty.
Right. He's out there. And I've talked to his investment team at Pendulum and what they're doing. So it's something that I think from the wealth gap, if black celebrities or athletes, and I'm not telling you that these are bad investments. These investments are good investments. These places I would invest in, right? But we're to say, okay, who's crushing in this respective space and food and is black? You would go and invest in you would knock on Slutty Vegan's door. You would knock on Field Trip's door. You would knock on other people's doors. Lolos, right? You would knock on their doors and say, hey, I love your food. Are you looking for investors? Because when you start to get into in high net worth people, most people are your lawyers or your doctors or whatever are white, and they're introducing you to their friends. Now, for me, I've been fortunate in this fundraising round that one of the guys I want to invest introduced me to Pendulum, right? And Pendulum was like, okay, these guys, that's Curtis Martin, that's Chris Paul, Robbie Robinson.
Right.
They were like, we only invest in black business,
Nice.
right? And they have a $200 million fund.
Nice.
And they said it's a small fund to me on the phone.
I mean, it is a small fund. I mean, like there's funds that are
it's a
raising
funds,
$2 billion.
Yeah.
You know,
But those guys are partnering with a big are working with a bigger investment company called El Catterton, who's one of the largest investment who does Peloton, did Bar Taco, did Mendocino Farms, and Chopped and Dos Toros. Like, so when you that's why I said when you go to the next round, you have to think, like what Jim was saying, like when you start talking to those guys, you can't be talking 100,000, 200,000. It sounds crazy.
Right.
You got to be talking 2s, 4s, 10s, 15s, 20s.
That's not an opportunity for them.
No, they can't make any money off it because when you talk about scalability,
Right.
they're like, okay, I'm going to invest here. We got to get you to 10. Can you be a $20 million company?
Right.
Then from 20, can we get you to 50?
Because they're thinking about their return.
They're talking about they're trying to get 10x.
Right.
always 10x.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
See, my whole thing is the lack of execution within our community. And you seem to have executed all of these goals in the midst of achieving your dream. And that is very important inside of our black community for people to see, because that's what we are lacking at big, is we have so many ideas and dreams, but we never go through the motions to order to fulfill those dreams. And through all the adversity you went through and everywhere you had to go, all leading you back to Harlem, and you fulfilling a dream of yours is dope. The whole story is dope. Like, this has probably been one of my favorite episodes that we've done thus far because of how adamant you are about your story and how resilient you was within your story to still be here, and who you are and the person you are for feeding the community, to be having the balls enough to put your fancy restaurant smack dead in the middle of all that love.
Man, this is a great
That's
conversation.
This has been good. This has been good today. We don't want to be here.
I don't even want to stop, but
I know, we gotta stop,
a
though.
few minutes.
We don't want to be here till
know.
tomorrow.
I know.
But definitely, JJ, you're definitely a dope person. I appreciate all you've been doing for the community. I appreciate all you've been doing for yourself. I love your story. I love your fight. Thank you for being
Food is great.
Mine and Diamonds. And now I got to come to the restaurant ASAP, Jack.
Yeah, I would love to have 6 to 8 months go by, and I'd love you to come back and talk about your growth, because I really feel like it's going to accelerate.
Yeah.
I hope so.
And I can't wait to go to the spot.
You
in
know,
London.
so it will.
And the spot in London.
Oh yeah, the field trip in
I'm
London.
calling you first. You
Oh
said
yeah,
it.
I'm going. I just like London for some reason, and I want to eat there. I want to eat field trip. Like I said, we could talk forever. This is a great conversation, and I kind of feel like I met a cousin.
Something like that, right?
Something like that, right?
Yeah,
There's a lot of love in the room and
Definitely.
stuff.
Yes.
And but this has been Mine and Diamonds with Chef JJ. Please go out and support Field Trip.
Please do.
If you're in Harlem,
Take
or
a
if you're in
field trip.
Rockefeller Center,
Right.
or if you're in Long Island City, look it up.
Appreciate y'all for watching Mine and Diamonds.
That's follow, like,
Kia,
subscribe.
Big Beef, JJ.
We got a Discord. Join us there.
Yeah.
We have a Clubhouse discussion weekly. It's gonna go down. Just join us. Come on.
Shout out
Peace.
to United Masters.
Hell yeah.
Yes.